Hi, this is Sean, just going over some HMI samples for Encorp's standard microgrid controller package. Some overhead tasks just to mention before we go into this. This is in simulation mode, so we're not seeing a lot of dynamic things running right now. This is just off a local laptop. The white boxes that you kind of see on the left-hand side won't be on the final product. In addition, it depends on the system itself to determine what assets are actually displayed and also what components are displayed for each of those assets. So what variables are potentially available to the system itself. When the HMI boots up, the first screen that pops up is our live values screen that shows our dashboard. And what this is a quick look at what the microgrid in a whole is doing itself to see what each asset is doing. In addition, if each asset is putting out power, it can display that information there. For a sample, I'm going to go ahead and energize the buses right now. Right now the buses are unenergized. The breakers are in open state right now. We go ahead and close it just as a sample, and we can go ahead and see that the bus is energized, showing red. And as the different pieces come on, we can see the different portions of the bus energized as appropriate. So if the solar was on but the breaker was open, we would just see that part between the solar and the breaker itself being energized, whereas the rest of the load bus would not be energized as the solar wasn't feeding it. On this screen, it should be noted that we can go into detail section by actually just clicking on one of these devices here, and that will bring us to a detail screen that shows us just a little bit more about that particular asset. In this situation, I clicked on the solar button, and then we went ahead and see a small graphic of the solar as a whole, what it's doing, in addition to if the system's capable of some information about the inverters. Bottom right, in this situation, we do happen to have a weather station for this sample, and so we are displaying some information on irradiance in addition to temperature and the module temperature itself of the weather station. Clicking back on the live values takes us back to the live values screen, and this is where we can investigate some of the other navigation features besides just clicking on the individual assets of the microgrid. I've just clicked on the load asset right now, and this is just showing us a pretty quick dashboard of everything that's occurring for the load itself. So we should be able to see the microgrid controller state, some of the more interesting power values, kW, voltage, amps, and the top left-hand corner we also see information such as the last 7 day kWh, so how many kilowatt hours per the last 7 days for the load itself. On the bottom left, we have a device kW output, which is just showing us the different devices and how much kW they're either receiving in the case of a battery or they're putting out, for example, Gen 1 through 3 or the solar system itself. Also note that the items actually update on the screen itself. Let's see if we can force that. Just showing at the top now that we see that the solar battery Gen and Gen 2 are available right now, while Gen 3, for whatever reason or other, is not available in this situation. Gen start commands at the bottom go ahead and show us the information of what the microgrid controller is doing. Is it sending start commands based on red to Gen 1 and 2? Gen 3 is not being currently started. Back to the navigation system, I click on the historical screens and we can see a trend chart there. The trend chart can put different pens on to show actual real-time values of what the system is doing. In addition, we can go ahead and do a look-back period of a certain amount of time and see what the system was doing on a certain day. Clicking on the alarms button, you can see that there is an active alarms on our system, and that'll take us to the active alarm screen, which is a grid format. All active alarms are displayed there with their times, their dates, in addition to their statuses there, in addition to a text message. On the far right-hand side, we have some filter navigation. So if there are multiple alarms, we can go ahead and look at the different alarms that are affecting that particular portion of the microgrid itself. So for example, clicking on Gen 1 will filter out the system to only display Gen 1 alarms, active alarms. We can also click on a history, and just like our trend, we can go back in the past and scroll through all the different alarms that have affected the system as a whole, or again, if we filter, showing us the alarms for the individual piece of the microgrid itself. System resets in the bottom right-hand corner, allowing the user to go ahead and acknowledge that the alarms have occurred, and then go ahead and reset the system so that the microgrid controller can continue on its functioning. Switching over to the configuration page, depending on the application, we have a different set of configurations that are available. For example, in this particular setup, we have a quiet night settings, and so the settings dealing with the quiet night are there and can be modified. Special note is that the top right-hand corner does dictate who is logged in right now, and not all users will be allowed to go ahead and make changes. This is configurable, and we can put different people into different groups. In general, we have an admin group, an operator group, and a monitor group. Operators may be able to do things like acknowledge alarms, various page navigations, while a admin might be able to go ahead and modify the configuration settings on this actual page itself, in addition to navigation and alarm work. I'm going to just switch us back to the live value screen, let that sit up there and run. But that is the standard HMI microgrid controller package for Encorp. Thanks a lot.